Hello, and this week a short break from whinging about moving to the other end of the country. I took a short business trip up to Leeds. Now, this isn't completely devoid of whinging because my car still is in for repair, having had the catalytic converter stolen. I still haven't had the van repaired, so I had to make this trip on public transport. When I was in Leeds, I was able to make use of the local bus service.
Bus wankers!
The apps that you get for the bus companies now are so good. It's really, really easy to use buses in the major cities that I have been to. So, I'm looking forward to doing a few more of those. Wonder how it is in Newcastle. Anyway, this is my trip to Leeds.
This is my second attempt at getting to Leeds within a week. Because of my catalytic converter theft, I had to get a taxi down here. So taxi's taxi, but that was another 10 quid on my trip, which was quite expensive. I could have got a bus for 3 quid, but then I would have had to have waited here for almost an hour. One of the things I'm looking forward to about going to Borpeth is that the train services are direct to a lot of places and more frequent than Eridge. Anyway, in the meantime, here I am at Eridge, which, as you can see, looks fairly abandoned. If you're wondering why it looks a bit oldie-worldy, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, there is a heritage line that runs out of Eridge as well, so they have steam trains over on that side at the weekends and bank holidays. Onward to London.
So after I'd arrived at London Bridge, I headed across to the Thameslink service. Now, you can get a tube from London Bridge up to King's Cross St Pancras. It tends to be a little bit quicker because you don't have to wait for a train, but it is extra. It's another £2.40 to do that. If you've never travelled to King's Cross St Pancras before, it's 2 stations, St Pancras being one, King's Cross being the other, but they are literally just across the road from each other. It's just a case of crossing the road. Maximum of 5 minutes to get across there, depending on the traffic. I found myself a little bit short of time because I had to dive into a shop to get something, but still on the train in plenty of time, and on the LNER service, which goes directly from London King's Cross up to Leeds. On this service, I had actually bought a standard class ticket and upgraded it with Seatfrog. You can upgrade a standard class ticket on many of the UK train services, and you bid for the tickets. So on the day of travel, you might be awarded an upgrade depending on how much you bid for it. LNER is one of my favourite services. The trains themselves are very comfortable, the seats are very comfortable, and they do give you a lot of information when you're travelling. For example, they do 3 different types of food serving, which they call deli, dish and dine, and they will tell you on the timetable which of these they're offering in first class on your journey. The thing you're looking at here is I think it's a chicken casserole. It actually tastes a lot better than it looks, but there's quite a reasonable selection that's available on the train. Once I was at Leeds, then it was just a short walk to my hotel across the road, and the next big adventure was getting the bus out to where I needed to be the day after. There are a few different bus services which serve the Leeds area. I was using First Bus, which seemed to be one of the sort of main bus providers in Leeds, and it's so simple to use. Same as before, buy the ticket, activate it just before you get on, and it's really cheap as well. I paid just over £2 per ticket. It's much, much cheaper than getting an Uber, and I was able to get out to Pontefract Lane where I needed to be. Like when I was in Warrington, I was very lucky I had a landmark, which in this case is the waste incineration plant in Leeds. Lucky me. So it was pretty easy to see where I needed to get off the bus. On the way back, it was LNER again from Leeds down to King's Cross, and I upgraded my ticket with Seatfrog again. I did have a chance to go in and have a look at the LNER First Class Lounge in Leeds. It's not like an airline lounge, there's not a massive offering there, but it is much nicer than sort of sitting out on the hard seats on the concourse for an hour. Train was bang on time. Never really had a problem with LNER trains in that respect. back down to London King's Cross. This time I did get the tube because I needed to get, there's only one service every hour from London Bridge out to Eridge, so I didn't want to miss that. So I dived on the tube, went across to London Bridge. Even had a chance to use my Pret subscription and grab a quick coffee at London Bridge, and then it was on the train back to Eridge. All in all, that would have been a journey of less than 4 hours from Leeds back to Eridge, which I think is pretty reasonable, were it not for one small, minor issue. The present Mrs. Camsell was supposed to be picking me up from Eridge Station, which is in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and then driving me the 2.5 miles home. However, she'd managed to get the car locked in Morrison's car park, so I ended up in the pitch black, walking the 2.5 miles home, dragging a suitcase behind me. Did make the journey drag out for another 3/4 of an hour while I wandered up the road, but hey-ho, it's good for the step count, isn't it? So that was my little trip to Leeds this week. I've got another trip coming up next week. On a Monday night, I am going on Britain's other sleeper service, the Night Riviera train, which actually goes from London Paddington all the way down to Penzance, down in Cornwall. I'm actually taking it as far as Plymouth, getting dropped off very early in the morning and then going back to do the training course in Newton Abbot. It worked out cheaper than going down the night before and getting a hotel. So we'll see how that goes. Coming back on normal train. And then, when I get back from there, it's our last trip to Morpeth. You lucky people. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And I'll catch you soon. Bye for now.